That the question will be asked, why are we celebrating more debt?
It's really a shame that the international financial community, these debts that we are now going to be incurring to finance our attempts at recovery, are like lending money to a business that suffered losses through some kind of crisis. That is the world that we as Jamaicans, both you on that side and us on this side, have to navigate.
Wagwan Jamaica. So hello everyone, I hope that you are all doing well. So guys, if it's your first time coming across my video, feel free to share, comment, and also don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So guys, I have a video for you guys, and it's about two leaders from the opposition party. The first one is Andrew Holness, and the other one is from the opposition known as Mark Golding. So guys, in this video, Andrew Holness and Mark Golding, they had a clash in the Parliament. Like, they were throwing words and they were telling each other the truth. So guys, I want us to watch this video. Like, Mark Golding exposes the PM and her wife live in the Parliament. So guys, I want us to watch this video till the end, then I'll be back with some comments. So guys, stay tuned.
We will approach reconstruction as a growth-inducing strategy. I know from this that the question will be asked, why are we celebrating more debt? We are not celebrating more debt. What we are celebrating is the opportunity to make a massive investment in our infrastructure, in our people, in the services that improve productivity. And it is that investment, Madam Speaker, that will expand our economy relative to our debt. And therefore, in short order, you can look forward to growing, increased revenue, and a relatively smaller debt to the size of your economy. We have never before had an opportunity to spend $6.7 billion relative to our GDP. We have never had that opportunity. US. And our GDP is somewhere in the region of about 17 to 18 billion dollars, $19 billion, thereabout. The Minister of Finance reminded me, $20 billion. You are proud, as are we, proud of the fact. Yes, $20 billion. So you get an opportunity to, within 3 years, to deploy $6.7 billion relative to your $20 billion GDP. So you can see the opportunity to expand the economy. And that's what the strategy is. And I'm encouraging all Jamaicans, regardless of political persuasion, to embrace this opportunity, to shift from crisis mode, to move from disputes over the distribution of a care package here or some lumber there, and start to think, how are we going to play our part in the new possibilities provided here for all Jamaicans to benefit. So, the reconstruction effort being deployed, logistics, agriculture, and energy will create thousands of jobs, crowded private investment, sustainability. Because make no mistake, there will be those looking on at our currency and say, can the central bank defend? Do we have reserves? Well, with this, we will be in a superior fiscal position to give confidence and certainty to our business sector. We will turn this moment of crisis into an opportunity to transform. Madam Speaker, Jamaica has never lacked ambition. What we have lacked for decades is the financial wherewithal to match that ambition. Today, that has changed. For the first time in our history, our national development vision is backed by a robust, multi-year, multi-partner financing envelope. Madam Speaker, we now have a clear reconstruction strategy, an empowered institutional framework.
And this year, we got walloped by Melissa. It's really a shame that the international financial community is still approaching the mitigation of the effects of climate-induced disasters on countries like ours by financing packages that are largely based on additional debt. These debts that we are now going to be incurring to finance our attempts at recovery are like lending money to a business that suffered losses through some kind of crisis that is trying to dig itself out of a hole from. Taking on additional debt to do that is going to be a challenging road for any country. Therefore, I don't think it's appropriate to treat these announcements in a triumphant way. We are going to be incurring the costs of paying back this massive additional borrowing in years to come. We are in a country which has spent the last 15 years seeking to get ourselves out of a debt trap, where we've had to run massive primary surpluses every year consistently to reduce our debt to GDP ratio, with a target that's written into our law incidentally by a government from this side, which we were anticipating would have been met this year before Melissa struck us. And now we are facing a new era of massive incremental borrowing. If you look at 3.6 billion US of sovereign debt, that's over 25% of GDP of additional borrowing. That does, and the 662 billion already available, only less than half of that is in a form that's not debt. Most of that is debt as well. This $2.4 billion of private capital, we look forward to seeing whether that will be forthcoming and in what volumes, because you can't project that you're going to receive private investment as part of your recovery. I'm glad that the multilaterals are going to support the effort, but at the end of the day, investors have to be willing and there have to be projects available to them that are bankable and investable. So we will see whether or not that happens. But the reality is that only 12 million US out of $7 billion is grant funding. Only 12 million US out of over 6 billion of programmed US funding is grant funding. That is the world that we as Jamaicans, both you on that side and us on this side, have to navigate.
House Leader, members' time for speaking has expired. House Leader, the members' time for speaking has expired.
We didn't visit your Prime Minister's speech with the kind of response that you're giving mine.
Madam Speaker, as the time for the opposition leader has expired, we ask that you give him sufficient time to complete his presentation.
House, the question is that the leader of opposition be allowed an additional 5 minutes to complete his presentation. No, members, I am going to ask that no one asks for sufficient time to complete, because those words can mean a 2-hour, 3-hour presentation like the member from St. Andrew South. Yeah, Angela, you know it's you, who spoke for hours. What is your point of order? What's your point of order? You're correct.
That violates the standing
Member, you're correct. But it is not in keeping with the approach of Parliament to speak until conclusion, whenever that is. And we have learned our lesson, as the member so nicely stood up and reminded us. So she knows who we are speaking of. So 5 minutes, House. Those in favor? Those against, the ayes have it. House Leader?
Yeah. I suppose I should be grateful, though it's a very parsimonious allocation of time to respond to such an important speech on such an important occasion. It's symptomatic of what is wrong with this Parliament, that the leader of the opposition is given 5 minutes more to finish a presentation. Anyway, that is the world in which we are being required to live. Madam Speaker, the institution which has been announced to oversee the recovery process, which does not yet exist. It is just an announcement thus far. This National, I think, Resilience and Recovery or Resilience Authority, NARA, is going to, we are told, be responsible for the relief resources being spent in a judicious way, in a way that's efficient, in a way that is accountable and transparent, and in a way that accords with a sensible policy of recovery. After all, the PIOJ has indicated that this financial quarter that we're in now, the economy is going to contract by some 11, I think, to 13% of GDP relative to the same quarter last year. That is a massive contraction. And it's going to further exacerbate the debt to GDP ratio because, of course, the debt to GDP ratio has two components. There's debt and there's GDP. So what we're seeing here is that debt is going to be growing dramatically, and GDP is in the process of a free fall as a result of this terrible calamity that has hit us. So while I admire and indeed share optimism about the future, because Jamaica is such a resilient and special country, and we will get through this, I think we should approach an announcement like this with some sobriety. This event has caused us to retrace our steps substantially from the economic path we were on, and which the nation incurred substantial sacrifices to get to where we were. I'm not blaming the government for Melissa. That would be absurd. I'm not blaming the government for seeking resources to fund the recovery. It's going to be necessary to get those resources. I am just making the point that this is not something to celebrate. This is not something to gloat about. This represents a substantial setback for Jamaica, and it represents if it's not administered properly, it could permanently weaken our future prospects and damage the country's future. Which is all the more reason why the composition of this recovery authority is important. I wrote to the Prime Minister on the day after the hurricane to suggest the establishment of a task force with broad-based representation, leaders from the private sector and business community, leaders from the churches, leaders from the NGOs, and representatives from the government and the opposition. The concept of NARA is consistent with that. However, I've heard nothing from the Prime Minister as to the role of the opposition in NARA. We heard it will be broad-based, but there is no inclusivity in the dialogue around how it is to be constituted. And I can hear from the barbs that are flowing from the other side that the likelihood is that we will not be included in it. That is what I'm hearing from the other side in their responses to me, their sotto voce remarks. All I can say is, Prime Minister, The opposition represents some 400,000 voters who voted for us, 28 constituencies, and our presence in the recovery and our participation in the recovery, you'll be well advised to seek in a genuine...
House Leader, the member's time for speaking has expired.
Thank you. As the member's time for speaking has expired, I ask that you put to the House that he be allowed an additional 2 minutes to complete his presentation.
Brother, always a big theme. Interesting talk, you know?
Complete your presentation, Opposition Leader. Complete your presentation, Opposition Leader.
Another generous allocation of time. Thank you very much.
And Opposition Leader,
Yes.
Prime Minister got 10 minutes extra on 12 minutes for statement by Minister.
Right. I won't be nearly as long.
And you got
I'm
half
wrapping
of that
up.
time.
I'm wrapping up.
Yeah.
It's not in my nature to be long-winded. So, Prime Minister, the point I was making is, I think you would be well advised to seek, in an authentic way, the inclusion of the opposition in the governance arrangements over which these funds will be administered on this recovery, because Jamaica is facing an unprecedented disaster, the scale of which is indeed awesome and frightening to those who have to encounter it on a daily basis in several parishes across the land. So, Prime Minister, I wait to hear your thoughts on this. I have asked you about it for a month now. You haven't indicated to me your views, but you know, I'm putting to you today again what I consider to be the optimal approach to dealing with this particular matter. Time is short and I've been asked to finish within 2 minutes, so I will wrap up now. More or none. We will be hearing about the fiscal rules and we will be hearing about the suspension of the fiscal rules, no doubt. And I'm looking forward to the discussion around that, where I'll have an opportunity to say some more on these matters. Thank you, Madam.
So, thank you, Madam Speaker. You made mention of the human dignity component with your transition to digital cards or an alternative means to food distribution. In your presentation, I note that the purpose of loans, albeit that you are celebrating, and we ought to celebrate restoring the country, the aspect as to whether or not there was any consideration of persons who simply won't be able to access your electronic system to access basic necessities for the food and anything else that comes with it. Mm-hmm. Also, in terms of an allocation, is there a specific sum that goes to the persons who are the primary victims and should be the ultimate beneficiary of any loan given? That is to ensure that the lives of the people are restored in a position better or at a minimum to the position they were before the disaster. And ask lastly that any consideration should consider the Constitution and the guidance on human rights when that is done. Thank you.
The member.
Right. Thank you very much. Prime Minister, in speaking about the next phase, and in particular moving from relief to recovery, I had a question in terms of, I think you had mentioned something about cash transfers earlier, though not specifically in here, but it ties in. So the question I wanted to ask is whether or not in the distribution of cash, allocation of cash transfers, whether gender-sensitive targeting will be used, especially given the fact that we know that targeting households that are led female heads, that really brings more fairness. And I was wondering whether or not that was contemplated in what you were planning to do. The other question that I have was really around also integrating emergency cash relief into existing welfare programs. We haven't heard much spoken about that, but I believe that that is important, although issues of connectivity and network would hamper how successful that can be. But as we are moving to restore, I am asking, where are we with that, and hoping that we will do that. Prime Minister, you speak in the reconstruction effort being deployed across infrastructure, housing, digitalization, logistics, agriculture, and energy, that thousands of jobs will be created. Again, Prime Minister, the question I'm asking, I'm looking at how Ministry of Labour and Social Security and some of those who have done the assessment, I'm looking at the cry on the ground about the partisan nature of how it has been done, how some communities have been totally left out, and I'm wondering what will be done differently to ensure that those thousands of jobs that are created for Jamaicans and not on a partisan.
So welcome guys, I hope that you have watched all the video and you have seen what was going in the course. So guys, this video was about two opposition leader, Andrew Holness, and the other one is Mark Golding. So you have seen that it was like a question that was sent to Andrew Holness, and you have seen that her wife, her wife is the head of the speaker, and you have seen that she was supporting him, like she was limiting the speech of Mark Golding, and that brought a lot of chaos, So we have seen that it brought a lot of chaos because the wife to Andrew Holness was like supporting his husband. I don't know, his husband has done a mistake, or his husband has not done what he's supposed to do. He has not helped. Like you have seen that Jamaican have been complaining about bad governance. The other day, guys, you have seen that the people of St. James were striking, like they feel like bad governance. But in the court, you have seen that her wife was like protecting him. He was like limiting speech, and he was not only limiting the speech of Mark Golding, he also limited the speech of the other lady, because he knew that Mark Golding had a point. He knew that Mark Golding was exposing them out, and people were live watching. So she was like protecting his husband. And I think Andrew Holness was very wise when she made his wife as the head of the court, because we have seen that in that case she really protected him. And he knew that putting my wife as the head of the court, some agendas, some proposal will not pass, because it will be like a deal. We have agreed that don't allow this thing to pass. We've seen during the Hurricane Melissa, it caused a lot of chaos, but Jamaican were being helped by other countries. They were being aided by other countries. Other foreign land were the one helping Jamaica. So people are like asking, where did this money go? Was this money looted or what? Because some people did not receive the help. Some people were sleeping hungry. Some people were sleeping outside. It was like other countries that were rescuing Jamaica. Jamaican have been complaining about bad governance, like they feel like the government is not doing what they were elected to do. But I want to appreciate Mark Golding, because he was like exposing them, was telling them the truth, and that is when Jamaica need people like this, the people who understand Jamaican and they want the best for Jamaica. They feel Jamaican. Jamaican have been complaining a lot. I've seen a recent video of Jamaica complaining about bad governance. But today in the court we have seen that there is like favoritism We have seen that the wife to Andrew Holness, she was favoring, like she did not want his husband to be in trouble, yet he's already in trouble. So guys, during election we could at least choose somebody wisely. As we are, us as black people, like many of us, we do a mistake of electing because of a tribe, and you have seen that. You have seen that it's costly. It is very costly. We should elect people because we feel like they will lead us well. So guys, I want to go through some few comments and we see how Jamaicans are saying, like what Jamaican thinks of these things that was going in the court. So guys, let me read you some of the comment. This the guy from Jamaican say, he can how can this corrupt government still keep lying, especially when we call all worldwide clear follow what's happening there. We have seen that Andrew Holness is trying to put some points, like the things that he wants to do. He was given a lot of time, but there is some things that he hasn't done yet, and he's trying to prove that he's going to do them. And Jamaicans have been waiting for long. They feel like this leader should have done all the things that he had promised. So he's like saying some of the things that he have done yet, but he hasn't. So he's like promising again and again, just promising, and he's not doing what he was elected to do. So guys, let me read another comment. How did you Holness get into such a mess? How do you express Jamaica to leave? How did your wife become Speaker of the House? That is a conflict. You see, how can PM Holness make her wife the Speaker of the Parliament, the head? That will be favorism, and it will be like controlling Jamaican, because your wife is there and nothing will pass. Any agenda, any proposal that she knows that if this proposal will pass, it will hinder her husband. So she will not allow any proposal from the opposition. She will not allow anything that will hinder his husband to pass. I've seen even in the court, she was denying this speech of the other lady, like she was limiting, and it brought a lot of chaos. So the Jamaicans are crying out, asking, how can you make your wife the head of the speaker? It's like you want to control the Jamaican by power. Let me read another angry Jamaican word that he's saying. Do you see the conflict of interest? That is why Juliet should not be the Speaker of the House. It is a damn disgrace and they have no shame whatsoever. So the Jamaican people are very angry, of what they have seen in the court, favorism. They are doing like, they are in power right now, and power is very sweet, and they feel like they are going to control Jamaican the way they want, the way they feel, and that's not right, because the people elected these leaders to help them and not to control them, and that's why Jamaicans are very sad. Another one is, no one is benefiting from this government. All lies, nothing has changed. Poor people will continue to suffer. Yeah, and that's what this government, not only in Jamaica, and even here in Africa, guys, the rich will always continue to be rich and the poor will always suffer, because these people are always saying what they have done, but it's a lie. They always keep promising, we will be doing this, we have opened this, we have innovated this, we are going to do this, we are going to build roads, but it's all lie. It's all to blackmail people. They are lying to the people. So the poor people will always suffer, and the rich will always get richer and richer every day. The other one is, usually in Jamaica, monies are allocated for whatever project have always deflected in a different direction. You see these leaders, they always say, I have this money, a certain amount of money, and I'm planning maybe to build school. Like he's lying to the people, like he has put aside a certain amount of money, like he's going to build school, but it's lie. When he finally stopped talking about building the school or the project, he took the money. What he does is he takes the money and it becomes his money. So guys, I hope that I don't know much about the Jamaican politics, and I don't know which sides are you in, if you are in Andrew Holness or you are in Mark Golding. I don't know much about this Jamaican politics, but at least you have seen that Mark Golding was trying to show people that you should be careful and what they should be keen on during what they are being told that it will be done by this leader. So guys, I want to appreciate you for the support that you have given me, and God bless you, and I hope that we meet on the next video. So guys, if it's your first time coming across my video, feel free to share, comment, and also don't forget to subscribe. So Jamaican, one love.